Result: when analyzing the richest empire in world history, it is crucial to recognize that wealth in ancient civilizations was conceptualized differently than it is today. The absence of stock markets, digital currencies, and national balance sheets meant that imperial wealth was predominantly characterized by control over land, populations, resources, trade routes, and production capabilities. Thus, the wealthiest empire was not simply the one with the most gold hoarded away, but rather the one that commanded the largest share of global economic activity. Historians often gauge ancient wealth by estimating an empire's contribution to global GDP at its zenith. While these calculations are inherently approximative, they offer a meaningful framework for comparing empires across various historical contexts. This approach considers wealth as the cumulative value of goods and services produced within an empire's territory, encompassing agriculture, manufacturing, trade, and taxation. An empire that held dominion over fertile lands, significant urban centers, and crucial trade routes effectively wielded control over the world's wealth. In discussions of this topic, several formidable empires frequently emerge. The Persian Empire, for instance, exerted influence over vast territories and essential trade networks. Meanwhile, Imperial China, particularly during the Han and Tang dynasties, emerged as a formidable economic entity propelled by advancements in agriculture and innovation. The Mongol Empire, known for connecting continents through trade and migration, also played a pivotal role in economic history. The British Empire, at the height of the Industrial Revolution, dominated global commerce. Each of these empires exemplified extraordinary wealth in their respective eras. However, when scrutinizing which empire commanded the highest percentage of the world's economy at a specific moment in history, one empire distinctly stands out. This empire transcended reliance on mere conquest or tribute. It established an integrated economic system that harmonized cities, provinces, and continents into a cohesive economy. Its infrastructure, comprising roads, ports, legal frameworks, currency, and administrative structures, worked in concert to optimize production and trade. The cities within this empire served as hubs of manufacturing and commerce, while its agricultural hinterlands yielded substantial surpluses. Its extensive trade networks facilitated the movement of goods across thousands of kilometers with remarkable efficiency for the ancient world. Most critically, the stability it maintained allowed wealth to circulate continuously, free from the ravages of incessant internal strife. To ascertain the richest empire in world history, one must transcend the myths of hidden treasures and instead focus on economic supremacy. By this metric, one empire unequivocally eclipsed all others. At its height in the 2nd century AD, the Roman Empire stood as the most economically dominant power the world had ever known. Under emperors like Trajan and Hadrian, Rome reached its maximum territorial expansion, stretching from the cold frontiers of Britain to the deserts of North Africa and the fertile lands of the Middle East. This vast territory was not just large in size, it was rich, productive, and deeply integrated into a single economic system. Historians estimate that at its peak, the Roman Empire controlled approximately 25 to 30% of the world's total economic output. To put this into perspective, no modern nation, not even the United States at its height, has ever controlled such a large share of the global economy. Rome's wealth was unmatched because it combined population, land, and productivity on an unprecedented scale. The empire governed an estimated 60 to 70 million people, nearly 1/4 of the world's population at the time. This massive population formed the backbone of Rome's economy. Farmers produced grain, olives, and wine in enormous quantities. Artisans crafted tools, weapons, pottery, and textiles. Merchants transported goods across land and sea, connecting distant provinces into one economic network. Agriculture was the foundation of Roman wealth. Provinces like Egypt, North Africa, and Sicily served as the empire's breadbaskets, supplying grain to major cities, especially Rome itself. The ability to feed millions of people in urban centers allowed Roman cities to grow larger than any the world had seen before. Rome, with a population exceeding 1 million, was a symbol of this economic power. Trade further amplified Roman wealth. Roman coins circulated across 3 continents, creating a stable monetary system that encouraged commerce. Goods from as far as India and China entered Roman markets through complex trade routes. Spices, silk, precious stones, and metals flowed into the empire, while Roman goods flowed outward in return. What truly set Rome apart was not just how much wealth it generated, but how efficiently it moved and managed that wealth. Roads, ports, and laws unified the empire into a single economic machine, one the world had never witnessed before. Result: at its zenith in the 2nd century CE, the Roman Empire emerged not only as a formidable military power, but also as one of the most affluent economic systems in recorded history. Historians estimate that Rome commanded approximately 25 to 30% of the global economy, a remarkable figure given the technological constraints of the ancient world. Unlike other empires that primarily depended on plunder, Rome adeptly transformed conquest into a sustainable and meticulously organized source of wealth. The foundation of Rome's prosperity was its relentless expansion. Through a series of vigorous military campaigns, the empire annexed fertile territories across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. These newly acquired lands contributed substantial taxes in gold, silver, grain, and manpower. Egypt, in particular, became known as Rome's breadbasket, supplying food for millions in the capital and bolstering food security and economic advantage that ensured both population stability and political authority. However, the true strength of Rome resided in its sophisticated administration. The empire constructed an unparalleled network of roads, ports, and aqueducts that facilitated efficient trade over vast distances. Roman roads served not only military purposes, but also functioned as vital economic conduits. Commodities such as olive oil from Hispania, silk from the East, wine from Gaul, and spices from Arabia circulated freely throughout imperial markets. This extensive connectivity transformed Rome into a commercial powerhouse, surpassing the role of a mere conqueror. The introduction of a standardized coinage system was pivotal in this economic evolution. It enabled trade to thrive with minimal friction, as taxes were collected in currency rather than goods, thereby strengthening the central treasury. The imperial state financed grand construction projects, coliseums, baths, temples, and entire cities, which created employment opportunities and stimulated local economies. While morally indefensible, slavery constituted another fundamental pillar of Roman wealth. Millions of enslaved individuals labored in agriculture, mines, and domestic settings, significantly lowering production costs. Coupled with advanced agricultural techniques and extensive estates known as latifundia, Rome achieved remarkable agricultural surpluses, further enriching the elite and the state. Nevertheless, this immense wealth was not equitably distributed. While emperors and senators reveled in opulence, a substantial portion of the population existed on meager means. Over time, issues such as military overspending, corruption, inflation, and an over-reliance on conquest gradually eroded the economic foundations of the empire. In summary, the Roman Empire represents a pinnacle of economic dominance, scale, and systemic organization in world history. Result: in the annals of history, few empires epitomize economic prowess as vividly as the Mughal Empire. At its zenith in the late 17th century, under the rule of Emperor Aurangzeb, it is estimated that the Mughal state contributed nearly 24 to 25% of the world's total GDP, positioning it as one of the wealthiest empires in human history from an economic standpoint. This extraordinary wealth was not solely a product of military conquest. Rather, it stemmed from the systematic exploitation of the Indian subcontinent, one of the most fertile and productive regions on Earth. Central to the Mughal Empire's affluence was its agricultural output. The fertile river plains of the Indus and Ganges basins yielded significant surpluses of staple crops such as rice and wheat, alongside cash crops like cotton, sugar, and spices. The Mughal administration introduced an advanced land revenue system, particularly the Zabt system, which meticulously assessed land productivity to determine tax obligations. This revenue collection, primarily in cash, fostered a robust monetary economy, ensuring a steady influx of resources into the imperial treasury. In addition to its agricultural wealth, the Mughal Empire held a dominant position in global manufacturing. Indian textiles, especially cotton, muslin, and silk, enjoyed unprecedented demand across continents from Europe to Southeast Asia. Major cities like Dhaka, Surat, Agra, and Lahore emerged as industrial hubs long before the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, with Mughal India accounting for an estimated quarter of the world's manufacturing output, a level of industrial dominance that would not be rivaled until modern times. Trade played a pivotal role in augmenting Mughal prosperity. Indian ports served as vital links in the global trade network, connecting East Asia with Europe. European powers, including the British, Dutch, and Portuguese, approached the Mughal Empire not as conquerors but as traders, seeking to establish commercial relations within its territories. This led to a substantial influx of silver from Europe and the Americas, reinforcing the empire's financial stability and currency strength. The opulence of the Mughal court became legendary. Emperors commissioned grand architectural masterpieces such as the Taj Mahal, Red Fort, and Jama Masjid not merely as symbols of power but as reflections of their immense wealth. The imperial treasury was said to contain vast reserves of gold, precious jewels, and renowned diamonds, including the illustrious Koh-i-Noor. However, beneath this facade of prosperity lay significant structural weaknesses. Wealth was predominantly concentrated among the elite, military expenditures soared, and regional governors gradually accrued power, undermining central authority. As European trading companies evolved into military forces, the Mughal system, despite its vast riches, struggled to adapt to the shifting geopolitical landscape. In the 16th and 17th centuries, the Spanish Empire emerged as the first truly global empire, stretching across Europe, the Americas, Africa, and Asia. For a time, Spain controlled an extraordinary share of the world's wealth, fueled largely by the vast flow of silver and gold from its American colonies. This sudden influx of precious metals transformed Spain into one of the richest powers of the early modern world and reshaped the global economy itself. The core of Spanish wealth lay in the mines of the New World, particularly Potosi and present-day Bolivia and Zacatecas in Mexico. These mines produced enormous quantities of silver, supplying an estimated 60 to 80% of the world's silver during the peak years of Spanish rule. Silver became the backbone of global trade, linking the Americas, Europe, and Asia in what historians often describe as the first phase of globalization. Spanish silver did not remain in Europe for long. Through the famous Manila Galleon trade, silver flowed from the Americas to the Philippines and onward to China, where it was highly valued. In exchange, Spain acquired silk, porcelain, spices, and luxury goods, turning the empire into a central hub of intercontinental commerce. No previous empire had managed wealth on such a planetary scale. Yet Spain's economic model was deeply flawed. Unlike empires that invested in domestic production, Spain relied heavily on extractive wealth. Much of the silver was spent on wars, royal extravagance, and imported goods rather than on industrial development. This led to rampant inflation, known as the Price Revolution, which weakened Spain's internal economy even as vast riches flowed into its ports. Colonial exploitation was another pillar of Spanish wealth. Indigenous populations were forced into brutal labor systems such as the encomienda and mita, particularly in mining regions. While these systems generated immense short-term profits, they caused demographic collapse and long-term instability in colonial societies. By the late 17th century, the flow of silver slowed, military costs mounted, and Spain's economic dominance began to fade. Other European powers, especially Britain and the Netherlands, learned from Spain's mistakes, building wealth through trade, industry, and finance rather than raw extraction. Still, at its peak, the Spanish Empire commanded unprecedented levels of global wealth and influence. Its silver-connected continents fueled global trade and laid the foundations of the modern world economy, making Spain one of the richest and most consequential empires in history.
By the 19th century, the British Empire had become the largest empire in history, both in territorial reach and economic influence. Often described as the empire on which the sun never sets, Britain controlled nearly 1/4 of the world's land and population at its height. Its immense wealth, however, did not come from precious metals or agriculture alone, but from a powerful combination of industrialization, global trade, and financial dominance. The foundation of British wealth was the Industrial Revolution. Britain was the first nation to mechanize production on a massive scale, transforming textiles, iron, coal, and later steel into engines of economic growth. Factories replaced workshops, productivity soared, and British goods flooded global markets. Industrial efficiency allowed Britain to outproduce and underprice competitors, turning manufacturing into sustained imperial profit. Colonies played a crucial supporting role. Territories such as India were reshaped to serve Britain's economic needs, supplying raw materials like cotton, tea, and opium, while also functioning as captive markets for British manufactured goods. India alone generated enormous revenue for the empire, and historians estimate that trillions of dollars worth of wealth were extracted over the course of British rule, contributing directly to Britain's rise as a global power. Trade and finance multiplied these gains. London became the financial capital of the world, controlling global insurance, shipping, and banking networks. The British pound functioned as an international reserve currency, and British banks financed railways, ports, and infrastructure across continents, often ensuring that profits flowed back to Britain. Control of key trade routes, including the Suez Canal, further strengthened imperial dominance. Unlike earlier empires, Britain institutionalized wealth through systems rather than rulers. Corporations such as the East India Company acted as extensions of state power, blending commerce, military force, and governance. This model allowed Britain to project economic control far beyond what its population size alone would suggest. Yet British wealth came at immense human cost. Deindustrialization of colonies, forced cash crop economies, famines, and social disruption were widespread. By the early 20th century, rising competition, world wars, and anti-colonial movements eroded Britain's dominance. Nevertheless, in terms of global economic influence, industrial output, and financial power, the British Empire stands as one of the richest empires in history. Its economic systems shaped modern capitalism and left a legacy that continues to influence the global economy today.